What is up, EOP sports fans? It's Wednesday night. It's 8:30. It's time for EOP. I'm Big Al.
And I'm Joe Shear.
And you can't see him, but Mike Laro right to my right. He's here learning the boards, the ones and the twos of you in the DJ world. But guys, we have pretty much an action-packed show for you tonight because there's a lot to continue to talk about. The Eagles are still 6-0, and they're going up against the 2-5 Steelers. The Sixers are struggling up north against Toronto right now, 53 to 63, losing in, of course. The Flyers a little bit back down to earth. Oh, and yes, the Phillies are going to the World Series against the Houston Astros. How could I forget?
I
Is
don't
it
know,
still a
man.
dream, Joe? Is it still? It's like I kind of equated this the other day to when you're first kid. Your wife gets pregnant, goes, "Babe, I'm pregnant," and it's like, "Oh my god, I'm going to be a dad." But until that baby's in your hand, it's real then. So I guess maybe Friday it becomes real.
Friday it definitely becomes real. Uh it's like I coming in tonight, I honestly just thought like this is gonna be more or less like a reaction show. Like I want to know like where you were, what you were doing when Reese hit it, when Bryce hit it. Like I want to know the emotion that came over you. Like I'm still on cloud nine from that game 5 on
Sure,
Sunday.
absolutely.
Like and a part of me feels like there was no break in between the NLCS and the World Series because this team is hot. I mean, and now we have to wait, 4 days until the World Series, now down to, a day and a half, I guess, if you want to include the day part of Friday. I'm still riding that Bryce Harper high.
As
I
you
mean,
should, and hopefully, just hopefully, so are the Phillies because it's always about the hot hand in baseball. We've
yeah,
said that a million times. In of all the four major sports, being listen, there's a 19-point win differential between the Houston
sure.
Astros and the Phillies coming into the playoffs. Now they're both seeing each other in the World Series, but that means nothing now. Those 19 wins don't mean anything at this point. But the Phillies, are the hot hand right now. And I know, a lot of the big names out there in sports are, they're kind of leaning towards the Astros because on paper, yes, the Astros, let's just call for what it is, are a better team, right?
Sure.
Overall better team.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean they're going to win because technically we won in as the last seed in the National League,
Mhm.
right? So technically every team we beat was the better team.
Absolutely.
So why not keep it going? Like that's my point. Why
You
not
also
keep it
got to think
going?
of the division that the Astros were in. It
Yeah.
was piss poor. I mean, of course they were winning all those games. And I'm not taking anything away from the Astros. They are a very good team.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you what, Verlander does not scare me at all.
0-7 in the World Series, Joe.
Yeah, he
He's
does not scare me
0-7 in the
one
World
bit. And I'm
Series.
telling you, I think Nola going up against him is going to be a dynamite uh, matchup. Like I'm very happy that Wheeler's going in game 2.
And I want to talk about that matchup in a second. But I want to get back to kind of what you just said before we jump into our sponsors here, because you're asking me about the moment. About the moment Bryce Harper did that heroic thing that any kid would dream about, right?
Yeah,
Like when it's not like when you dreamed about being a major league baseball player or a football player or whatever it is, but you also dreamed about being in that moment and coming through. And that's the thing that Bryce Harper did because let's be honest, when Bryce Harper got here, like any other superstar, the question always remained is because he didn't have a ton of postseason chances and success on top of it. You know, can he actually? I mean, he's a great player, but can he be a great player who can be a winning player? Because there's a difference. You could be a really good player, but you can't win.
yeah. I saw two different sides and two different Bryce Harpers in this series because you saw in game 4 that we were at. You saw him get that second double. He gets up on second base and he's going bananas. He's showing off the Phillies logo. He's screaming, "This is my fucking house."
Yeah,
Come Sunday, he hits that go ahead run in the 8th. And what does he do? He does not celebrate. He knows the job is not done. He is a pure professional and businessman. He lets his teammates go bananas on the side, jumping out of the dugout. And what he does, he strolls around, he comes to the dugout, and he, does his signature handshakes with his teammates. He did not go out for, he may have gone out for a curtain call. I didn't notice that part, but he did not get up and just go nuts. He knew that at that point there was 3 more outs in the game, and 4 more wins that they need to become world champions. And that is the mentality of the man I need going into that World Series.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, that's a big thing. Like this team has played in general, like not people have been using the term house money, which I don't agree with. There's a lot of on at stake for them in this because there's no guarantee you're back next year.
Right.
I mean, everybody kind of like, all right, the Phillies are going to limp in. Maybe they win the wild card series, but then they don't. That's about as far as they go, and they'll get some playoff experience, and they'll be ready to go next year when they make some changes and bring Trey Turner in or somebody, something like that. Um, that doesn't mean that's going to happen.
It doesn't.
No.
But to the other side of that, seeing the success of this team right now, this is going to be a top destination for some of these,
Oh yeah,
these vets that are, still trying to get that ring.
yeah. I mean, listen, you're still gonna have Wheeler under contract, Nola under contract, Castellanos under contract. You're
Oh,
still
yeah.
going to have
Schwarber,
Harper,
Harper,
Schwarber, yeah, all these guys. I mean,
everybody but Segura, and I think Reese is up for arbitration. So who
yeah.
knows what happens with that?
So ultimately, where I was, Joe, I was at home for the Sunday game. We were at the game together on
Yeah.
Saturday, which by the way was just an amazing time.
Whew. I had
Uh,
no doubt. Even down 4-0 in the top of the first. I have never, ever, and I don't know if this has ever happened in history of not only the postseason, but in MLB history ever. I have never seen two starting pitchers get pulled out in the top and the bottom
well,
of the first
I
inning.
made the joke to somebody. I said, if you think about it, our pitcher was the better pitcher of that series. Our starting pitcher was the
Sure.
better pitcher of that series
Sure.
because he actually got two guys out.
Yeah.
The other guy
Yeah.
couldn't get anybody out. That was the difference between one guy and the other. They both got pulled out in the first, but the difference is our guy at least got two guys out.
Yes, he did.
I mean, a lot of people ask me, goes, I guess you were wrong about that. I'm like, yeah, I was wrong, absolutely. But I also have to play the fact. Here's a young guy who hasn't played in what 2.5 weeks.
Yeah.
You know,
The stage was not, he
yeah,
was not ready for the stage,
no,
nor was
and
the
we were
stage ready
lucky
for him.
that their guy wasn't ready for the stage either. I mean,
Yeah.
that could have been a completely different game if that guy went 3 or 4 innings.
I mean, by the end of the first, it was 4-3, and they had Harper stranded on third. They
Mhm.
could have tied that game up in the first.
Yes.
I mean, that is when you know that just something special is
Well,
happening.
they
There's something in the air, and you're there to witness it, and you just do nothing but smile.
they've used the term "team of destiny," which
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of the term, but I get it. I get why you would
marvelous.
use it. But this team is poised to do something. I don't. I see a lot of on our comments. Like I posted the schedule for the World Series. A lot of Astros fans, with all seven of them, started poking their heads out. And they were saying like, "Oh well, it's going to be a sweep. It's going to be a sweep." That's the key factor here. This team has not tasted the loss yet.
Right.
They have not tasted loss. So that means if the Phillies can hand them, and we say this almost every series,
Yeah.
if they can split the first two games away, that's huge for us coming back to South Philly. But listen, the Yankees did not sell out their stadium. Let that sink in for a second. A New York team.
That is pretty
Listen,
wild.
I get the Atlanta team to a point. The fan base is completely different. The market completely different. But
Mhm.
a New York team, you're supposed to be the number one over us, over
Right. Oh,
Philly.
absolutely.
You didn't sell out. Were you selling the tickets for $70 million a piece or something? Like, how do you not sell out in Yankee Stadium? Now, maybe that was more the later games because people are like, I ain't buying another game. They're down to 0-2, or now they're down 0 and
Sure.
3.
Sure.
I love the fact that this team is not defeated yet. They haven't tasted
No.
defeat, and they haven't met South Philly
Absolutely.
all
The
year.
last two teams that have gone undefeated in the postseason, they've both lost in the World Series. In fact, one of them, I believe, was the Red Sox, just a handful, maybe not even a handful of years ago, and they got swept in the World Series. So, I mean, listen, we've been saying for a while, and we say it across all different sports. You get to the playoffs, and it's a completely different
Clean slate.
season.
Clean
Oh,
slate.
clean slate,
What you
absolutely.
won, I don't care
Anything
if you
can
won
happen.
every game.
Yeah,
162-0, don't make a difference
right.
once that playoff
Yeah,
start. Uh,
Cardinals, Braves, Padres, and I'm telling you this, and I swear to God, it was after the Phillies beat the Braves. They were going to the NLCS. I'm driving in the car with my father-in-law and my wife, and it was the day after the Phillies got into the NLCS because I didn't know that the Padres and the Dodgers played the night before. I thought that they were playing on that Sunday or
mhm.
whatever day it was. So we're driving, and I'm going, oh my God, it's the Padres and Phillies, and they're like, yeah. I go, Phillies are going to the World Series. And they're like, "Pump the brakes here." And I'm like,
Yeah.
"No." I'm like, "No." I said, "The Phillies are playing the Padres." And they said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh my God, the Phillies are going to the World Series." Because I was just thinking back on the games from the regular season and how the Padres didn't impress me at all, and how they made all these big trades for Soto and Hader, and they were still the second wild card spot. And I knew our team was hungrier. I knew our city was hungrier. And I knew it. This feeling came over me, and I said, "Oh my God, the Phillies are going to the World Series," and I never came off of that feeling, and now here we are.
Uh, Pat's sitting there. No, that's not that one up. Pat said, I heard about the meat of the Cardinals lineup. Gone. I don't say we don't stand a chance against the Braves. Gone. Padres have a better bullpen and they're more hungry than us. Gone. By the way, I don't believe they were more hungry. You had two guys who already won a World Series. I don't think they were more hungry, but gone. Nobody scares me, and that's the thing is it's a good thing. Like this team's not
Absolutely.
playing scared. I'm not saying they're playing overly confident either, but they're just not playing scared. Um, I just got my rejection email. Ugh, lost opportunity to get
A
tickets.
lot of people are getting them today.
I gotta check my email. Now I'm no, Linda, now I'm not gonna check my email. I'm gonna be like sitting there shaking like a
My wife got 3. The 2 friends that we have our season tickets with next season,
mhm,
they got their rejections. I haven't yet.
yeah.
Fortunately, I already have the
I
World
have to
Series
check a few
tickets.
emails. Mr. Crackpot Media from our boys over at the Painted Lines. If the Phillies win game one, the Astros will crumble.
I agree.
The Astros are going to struggle much, much more winning a CBP than the Phillies in Houston. Yeah, I agree with that too. Just got to win one game, and that's it. That's the thing is, and that's what I keep saying. It's that taste of defeat. It tastes like shit, you know. And if you haven't eaten that shit for a while, well, guess what? It tastes. It's even harder to swallow
Right.
when it first comes, and especially when you feel like, listen, if this team feels like they're just going to roll themselves right into a World Series championship, then that's a bigger kick in we've been kicked down. We
For a long time.
nobody believed that they were gonna do anything. A lot of us, Joe, me and you have were getting very we were struggling for confidence going into the playoffs.
Yeah, I was.
But one thing you don't have to do is to struggle if you want to go to the game in Houston.
Yeah,
PhillySportsTrips.com.
that's right.
PhillySportsTrips.com. I'm putting the football one up, but got to go to PhillySportsTrips.com because they have the opportunity for you to go to Houston. Okay. They have tickets there. They have flights, everything. Go to www.phillysportstrips.com. All these great away games, tailgates for the Eagles, other trips galore. Check it out, phillysportstrips.com. And another amazing thing you could do for the World Series is not just watch it, but watch it with former Phillies greats. PJ Dolan does it again at Dolan's in Ridley Park, 24 East Sellers Avenue. I tell you guys this every week. You never know who you're going to meet there. Well, now you're going to know who you're going to meet there. Now you're going to know when you're eating that delicious food, hanging out, drinking that cold beer, and watching your team in the World Series. If you go on Friday, maybe you're going to hang out with Tommy Green. Maybe Saturday you can go and have an amazing, crazy time with Lenny Dykstra. And if they need Game 6, Mickey Morandini will be there at Dolan's. So it is always a blast at Dolan's. It's going to be unforgettable because we've talked about, oh, where were you in 2008? Older guys ask you, where were you in 1980? The one thing is, think about this. You'll be able to talk about 10 years from now if they win the World Series. Yeah, I watched game one. Yeah, I did with Tommy Green. I watched game two with Lenny Dykstra. I mean, it's something you can't buy, and you don't have to. Just go to Dolan's Bar. And if when they win the World Series and this place is bedlam, you might like climb a pole and get arrested for it, maybe flip a car over. David Archerry's your man, cherryinjurylaw.com, 610-565-0300. Cherryinjurylaw.com, workers' comp, motor vehicle, personal injury, criminal law. David Archerry's your man. Got to check him out. Tell him EOP sent you. Here's our lineup for the week as of right now. We will have our next week lineup out a little earlier than usual because with the World Series, we're going to have to preempt and move a lot of things around, which we'll be getting that together. But this is what you're looking at right now. Plenty of EOP to go around and the painted lines. Check it out at EOPsports.com as well as the paintedlines.com. We are here for you for all your Philly sports needs and more. Let's go to the messenger real quick. This is Ian's prediction. Game one win, game two loss, and then they sweep it out 3, 4, and 5.
Well, here's my thing with that. If you get game 1 win Nola Verlander, that team is going to be on such a high, knowing that Wheeler's going game 2. They're just going to be jacked up even more.
Well,
There's a chance they come out of Houston 2 games up.
there's any chance you haven't lost a game there yet. So yeah, there's always a chance. And that brings me into the first topic I wanted to talk to you about, which is the Nola versus Wheeler start for game one. Is it because they want to give Wheeler an extra day of rest and Nola has been the longest since he's played and they don't want him to be too rested? Or is it that scenario? Because Verlander is 0-7, and if Wheeler comes out and pitches like he did in Houston before the got us actually locked into the playoffs
Mhm.
and pitched out not like he did maybe the last game as much, but the game before, and they can grab that win in Houston that they're trying to double down and take 2 wins in Houston before they even hit CBP.
In all honesty, I think it's Rob just going with him because he was the next man up. He was supposed to go, game 6 if it ended up there. I think he didn't want to kind of strip him of his next start because maybe it's a confidence builder. Maybe because his last outing ended in the way that it did, that Topper was just going to him and saying, "Listen, we have full confidence in you. Doesn't matter if it's Verlander, doesn't matter who you're pitching against. We have confidence in you to go down there in Houston and pitch like every other game you've pitched in outside of your last start." So I think it's a bit of just keeping him in the lineup so he's not juggling things around. Like much like there is talks of, will he start moving guys around in the 1 through 9 batting position? And I think you kind of have to just believe that after the past 3 series that this is the lineup he's going with no matter what, even though some matchups may serve well, depending on what pitcher is going in what game. I think this is very much like that. Aaron Nola, he was the next man up. I think that's the biggest reason why he's going with him. But I think it also has to do with a little bit of the mental part of it.
Yeah. Um, so as we were talking about earlier, how they didn't even sell out in New York. Our producer over here to my right, Mike, pointed out that they were selling tickets at Yankee Stadium for how much, Mike? Say it loud.
21
21
dollars.
bucks online. $21. I didn't think you could buy a hot dog in New York for $21. Oh, if you had a promo code, it would drop to 7. They were pretty much
Jesus.
giving them away. Okay, you pay more than $7 in ticket fees when you bought the Phillies tickets here.
That's unbelievable.
And actually, accordingly, they two things is
They were
the
giving them
ticket
out in
cost.
coney dogs.
The Phillies tickets are the highest sold World Series tickets in MLB history right now. They're making
You know what? I'm kind of tired of hearing about the outrageous price for these tickets because number one, you saw the outrageous price for them
Mhm.
because the tickets weren't even on sale to the public yet. The registration and the lottery didn't even end until yesterday. People are just now finding out whether they were blessed to buy them or unfortunately they couldn't get them. But I went on StubHub today and I saw standing room for 500. Back in 2008, I bought a standing room ticket only for $500. It's the same exact price I paid all the way back then. I don't want to hear about outrageous prices or inflation or anything. If you want to be there that bad, spend the $500. I mean, I don't think it's that outrageous of a price, to be honest with you.
No, I mean it's not the cost; it's what they're going for. It's the
Well, it's not.
secondary
It's the
market.
same thing.
No, the secondary market. I mean
Well, yeah.
the StubHub and all that, like
I,
3,500, two, three, four thousand
you did not
dollars.
listen to a word I just said.
Yeah, I did.
Oh my god.
But no, I was actually checking my email. So far, I've been denied.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was being let down.
Well, you
But
got an email saying that you were declined.
it said, yeah, well, the way the
I
email
know it's
the way
fluky.
the email reads, it says Phillies World Series ticket opportunity notification,
Right. Yeah.
and they make you open it up, and it says the big red print Phillies World Series ticket opportunity. Thank you for registering. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
your entry was
I see.
not.
I've seen a lot of people bitching about how they word it.
Well, they said,
I don't blame them either.
well, no,
They
you wanted
should be
them to open
pissed.
it up. We want an email that says
Right.
you're screwed. You
Yeah.
know, here,
Yes.
yeah, SOL.
You see a subject line and it says World Series opportunity. You're jumping
You,
up to your computer to do whatever, and then you just get up there and it's like, oh balls.
they said somebody said that the with the World Series, MLB gets like
I
30% of the
heard about that.
tickets or
Yeah, I didn't even
some
know
like
that.
some really high number. It's not like the Phillies or they get 30 or 40% of the tickets that are selling. So
Jesus.
which is so that means all right, so you got a 46,000 person seats and now you're dropping it down to like 25.
Right.
That's ridiculous. But I have to check my other emails when I tell my wife to check her emails. because I probably registered at least. My dad has to check his email.
Oh,
My
everyone.
mom has to
Oh
check
yeah.
her email. My sister has to check her email. I registered quite a few people. Um, It'd be funny if like my sister's like, I bought them and I sold them for
I
$2,500
registered.
a piece.
I registered once, and I have yet to be declined.
You haven't got an email yet?
I have not.
Crazy.
I have
If you
not
win
got.
again, I'm gonna kill you.
Well, I didn't win. I have season tickets for next
No,
year,
I'm saying,
so
but
that's
you
why.
got
That's how I got
no,
them.
you got the tickets. Didn't you get them in?
Oh, the NLCS. I got
Yeah,
the early opportunity.
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I got hosed on
The
that.
World Series is the only legit way I got my tickets.
My the funny thing is like I'm thinking like in this day and age, like you should be able like when you sign up for something like that they should be able to scan in like maybe your old tickets because they're on your phone
Oh
anyway,
yeah,
and say, all right, this guy went to 10 games, as far as they know, bought them all. You know what I mean? Like there should be like a higher, like I got a higher chance, like more
sure,
lottery balls. You know what I
sure.
mean? Like kind of like they do with like for like in the NHL and the NBA with the picks. Like there should be a higher chance of just making it very. I mean, sure everything should be fair. Down saying with that noise, but my point is like as a guy who went to a bunch of games, spent a ton of money already to
Oh
these
yeah.
things. I think I should have a higher pick than somebody who hasn't done jack with it, who's probably going to turn around and sell them for $1,000 a pop.
I know it's
That's
ridiculous.
my annoyance, but whatever. But we also set a 24-hour merch record, by the way. Did you know
I
that?
did see that. Yeah.
That's crazy. It has been like that since the 2016 Cubs.
Wow.
So we broke a record.
Today count because I bought something today.
Um, I don't know how they. If, I think sometimes they count in like when a store buys it secondhand
Mhm.
too, because that's considered sold. So if you go to a store that's not the Majestic Store,
Right. Yeah.
MLB.com or something, and when you're buying direct, I guess is the best way of doing it. If you go to a corner store where close quarters is one we use
Yeah.
around here. If you go
My
there,
wife fell in love with that place. By
oh
the
my
way.
god, don't ever. My wife holds my wallet when I go in there. Forget it. But my point is when they buy, say they buy 1,000 hats, that's 1,000 hats sold in the MLB
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they sold it to them, but and they're selling them secondarily. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just that's the thing is like I was saying this earlier. This is the second best scenario for Major League Baseball as a matchup wise. Okay, it would
David
be best
versus
would have been
Goliath
Yankees Phillies because of two top markets. You would have had a lot more eyes on the game.
rematch of '09,
Yeah.
and Girardi had something to do with both teams back then.
Yes, exactly. And he would have to. They should make him call it if that was what happened. Like you had
Yeah.
to.
Oh my God, that would have been fantastic.
Hey, remember when you coached this team earlier this year, Joe? Remember that? But my point is like this is. I always said the 2017 Eagles. Like if you did a movie about it, you wouldn't have to change it. You wouldn't have to Invincible, as I call it. You wouldn't have
Sure.
to. You
Yeah.
wouldn't have to Hollywood it, change a bunch of facts to make it more sexier. Just take the story for what it is. This season falls into that category in my eyes. This season falls into that category from you lost a lot of key players. Gene Segura first went down. Him and Bryce had pretty much the
Yeah.
same injury. And he was the only really good offensive player, one of the few good offensive players we had during that really down part of the beginning of the season. And then, okay, well, here comes Topper, comes in, turns his team around. Team looks really good, poised to go. Here we go to San Diego. And then our key player, our number one guy, Bryce Harper, is down. We're contemplating should he just stay down?
Yeah.
Should they just do his surgeries now and let's ride it out? Like just kind of call this season for what it is without Bryce Harper and see what they can do without him and see it and take it from there. And then from there on, certain guys started to step up. Like Nick started to step up a little when Harper went down, but Schwarber was always the key player there.
JT was big.
JT came up like July,
Alec
August.
Beerling,
Yeah, like
Nick Maton.
a lot of the young guys definitely kept. They listen. If don't play 2 seconds in the World Series, they deserve a ring.
Derek Hall.
Derek Hall, I wonder how that, I guess does he get one?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh,
wasn't
he'll
sure how that
definitely get a
worked. If you
ring.
weren't on the roster during the World Series, I always wondered how that worked.
Well, he was on the roster in a regular. Dude, Odubel Herrera could get one.
Could he now?
Yeah.
So even if you were traded, okay, I
Yeah.
guess you're right. You're right.
Roman Quinn might get one.
Oh,
Yeah, I think if anybody had anything to do with the organization, I think you get a ring. I mean, it, it's funny that the game was on a Sunday, Game
Mhm.
5, because that eighth inning, I was maybe the most religious I have ever been, or maybe not ever been, but most religious I have been in a very long time. Because before that at bat, I'm walking around my house, I'm like literally like this, praying to you know my loved ones that passed away, friends, family, everybody,
Allah,
and
everybody. I
yeah,
mean, God,
and,
it was like the
dude,
scene from what's it called? With Will Ferrell. He said, "Dear Allah, dear God," like
Oh
just like running
yeah,
around screaming.
and then he hits that ball, and I just dropped to my knees and like teared up. I was like, "Oh my god, he did it! He did it! Oh my god!" And like, I almost feel like a part of me doesn't even remember. My wife told me what I was doing, but like, I remember I was it was one
It,
of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life.
my wife. So we were in the living room.
Bryce Harper
My
over Mike
wife
Schmidt.
was sitting one couch. I was on another couch. My little guy was kind of he was. It's funny how like they watch this. They can feel the energy. Like he normally could probably care less. He would probably play his video games or something at that point. But he was kind of paying attention. And when it happened, you would have thought I would have jumped up. I did jump up,
Yeah,
like throw my hands in the air, just screaming. I jumped up, and Dawn's like, she laughed at me because like I didn't say anything but like a few expletives,
sure.
you know, 4 letter words. But I just got up and I just kind of turned back. She's like, "What?" She's like, "That wasn't you who hit the ball. You know that, right?" Like she was laughing at me. She's like, "You have that stone cold face, like you just hit that ball, like that bat flip, or like." I was like, I felt like I did. But she's like, because she like jumped on me and like just like kind of like like spider monkey, like just like attached to me. And then she's like, "You know, you didn't hit that ball." I'm like, "Yes, I did."
We all hit that
And we
ball.
all hit that ball. We all grabbed the ball out of the bat and swung together. But yeah, no, it will be one of those things. And I've heard it talked about on different stations and everything else. That is it the best hit of all time? No, it's not the best hit of all postseason for
It's
the Phillies,
Bryce Harper's best hit of
but
all
it's
time.
his as of right now until he does another one in the World Series. But it's got to be top five easily, maybe even
Sure,
top three,
sure.
possibly even top three.
And I got to bring this up because you said the word earlier, Bedlam. Scott Francie's call and
Yes,
that line of
Bedlam at the
Bedlam
bank.
at the bank is one of my favorite lines I've ever heard. And I don't know how he came up with it. I don't know if he had it written down, waiting for a moment like this, but that was pure genius on Scott Fransky. And he has, and of course, I listen to the TV broadcast, but when I watch the clips after, I always look for the Scott Fransky called ones.
Yeah.
And he just knocked it out of the park this postseason. Like he was great in almost everything he said.
Well,
Bedlam at the bank.
it's
I got
funny
to get
that
it
you say that
tattooed on
because
me.
when he was when our boys over at Philly Press Box Radio interviewed him, he mentioned like they do, and I think him and Tom McCarthy both said they have some stuff they write down that like how, I don't know if he had that one,
Sure.
but like it, he might have just been like in his head, it's Bedlam, and at the same time at the bank, like it just like here's the thing is you're not going to get that from Fox. You
No,
got
no.
these guys just did 162 games plus the playoffs.
Well,
So they're as invested as you and I, and they're as excited as you and I. You're not, I mean, you might get like Jeter going, yay, way to go, like get into it a little bit, but you're not going to get that same energy that they have.
there was the call on TV where he's rounding first, and I off the top of my head I can't think of the broadcaster's name, but he said the swing of his life, and hot damn, it absolutely was.
So far, I use the term
So
so
far,
far
yeah, sure,
because there's more swings to
that's
come.
fair.
Um, So there's been another rumor. I don't know if this is just stuff going out there, just stuff they're tinkering with, or they're just doing this to kind of throw the Astros off a little bit. That they actually might move Harper back up to the 3 spot in the lineup. How do you feel about that?
Do you listen to me on the show?
No,
I just talked about this 10 minutes ago, saying that much like the Aaron Nola move because he was next man up,
it must have
you
been about
leave
second
the
my email.
lineup the way it is from 1 through
But
9.
but all right, you're right. You did say that. Sorry, but my point
All right,
is it more a tactic that you think that the Phillies are leaking out, just to throw just like the Nola thing could be a tactic. Like maybe they have no intention of not starting Wheeler, and they're just doing this to make the Astros prepare otherwise.
so you're thinking that there's still a chance that Wheeler goes?
I don't think so, but I'm just
Zero
saying.
chance. They made it official today.
I know they
They
made, but
wouldn't make it official if they were going to
I'm
switch
just
it up.
saying like when it first came out. Do you think there's any credence behind it, or do you think there's any?
I think it's I think it'd be silly to move JT from 3 just to get Bryce Harper back up there. I mean,
And at
that's
this
where
point, is
Bryce batted a lot, when he was actually healthy enough to play. But the only way that it could be strategic is because of what the rumor was that they could tinker it because of the left right matchups. But no, I mean Topper, I firmly believe is keeping the lineup the same. He's going to stay in the 4. He's got 10 postseason home runs.
Yeah, I
Why,
don't.
why would you move him out of the
Of
cleanup
all
spot? Come
people to
on.
move, like I can maybe move Hoskins down the lineup if you wanted to, but even now, even Hoskins, I mean, the hand's hot. Like
JT's been hot. He's on. He's
you're
before Harper. If JT doesn't get that base hit, Harper ties it up at best.
here's my thing is
JT is as clutch in the 3
your top
as Harper
five
is in
is
the 4.
playing the way it should be right now,
Yeah,
and
finally.
then you got Segura, helping keeping that bottom part balanced out. Brandon Marsh, the NLCS wasn't much to talk about. He was huge in the NLDS.
Yeah,
So my point is, I leave it all alone. I
yeah,
leave it alone. I mean, I'm not against Wheeler starting. I get not starting or getting game one. I just things have been working. I don't see why we change it unless there's just such a matchup discrepancy. Like I don't know. Maybe it's just
yeah. But when I think when it comes to whoever starts game 1 is a little bit different because Ranger Suarez started game 1 of uh of the NLCS.
yeah.
So why would you change that up?
Well, that's because it was just a rotation.
Right, I know. That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
This is the
This
rotation. Aaron Nola is up.
well, no, technically it's 5 games. It starts. It's kind of
Oh,
fresh.
yeah, but Wheeler already pitched. Nola's next up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Ranger starts game one if it's been 5 days or more for Nola or Wheeler.
Oh no.
That's my point. Like this, both teams.
Right, right, but
This is very even. Both teams have had about the same amount of time off, maybe a few hours differential
right.
for the Phillies to the Astros. So it's not like one team's been sitting, and that's the only thing I don't want to say I'm worried about, but like this team has been pretty consistent with their play
The
time.
Phillies have played more games.
Yeah, they played more games, and it's just been consistent with play time. Like they haven't stopped. If you think
No.
about it since the end of
That's what I
this,
mean. That's why I wish that there wasn't this 4-game gap.
and it's just like killing me. Like, oh my god,
I know.
please, please. I've watched so many clips on Twitter and YouTube. Uh,
But you watch the same clips over and over again.
I know it's just like it's like I'm feeding like this hunger, but it's not where I can't quench my thirst. I need this team to
Absolutely.
play. Um, but it's just
Sixers stanking.
yeah, it's just with the Phillies. Like when baseball's good in Philly, it's good. It's just good. Everything's good. Everything seems right in my world. Maybe it's because I'm a big baseball guy, or it's just I don't know. Like I just everything seems right. And I talked about this. We're gonna not just like the team being good in the next 4 or 5 years because they can be, but the city, the bank being full. Okay, that there's such a difference. How many times we watched a
Oh,
game this year or been at a game this year, and maybe a rain delay caused it a little bit, but when that bank is empty, it's sad. It really is depressing.
yeah,
And
and
I'm just saying, like, I'm seeing like my kids, 13-year-old, my 7-year-old. I took my each of my kids that got to go to a postseason game, so which was really something as a father.
yeah, it's cool.
I'm happy I can say I did because it's not cheap to do, of course. And I was able to get enough tickets that each one of them got to come with me. But as we've told many of '93 Philly, we told Kevin Stocker was just on the big show the other week,
Yeah.
that they really were the catalyst for our Philly sports fandom. You know, they not that before we were a little bit into it because dads, grandfathers, and uncles are pointing at the screen, see this guy, see that guy. But when you made the conscious decision, oh yeah, I mean, no matter what this team does, I live and die with this team.
100%.
You that
Not
93
many fan bases like that.
Yeah, and but 93 was the year for us.
Mhm.
We're 10 years old. We're seeing the success here. I'm hoping that's what happens here. Maybe one of my kids just be like, "All right, you know what? This is pretty cool." Because listen, sports has done a lot for people in general, but for us, how many people do we know if they stayed with sports or did sports, they wouldn't get in half the trouble that they've gotten in
Oh,
their
yeah,
life,
for sure.
or bad things didn't happen on like there is such a plus to it. I mean, listen, yes, we are ravenous fans. We get a little crazy at times. I get that. But my point is like it does something for us when when you can do this and you're less likely to go out and do something stupid if you're going to be in watching a game or at Citizens Bank Park or Lincoln Financial or Wells Fargo or whatever. You're less likely to do something like that. You're more likely to go play organized sports. You're going to stay healthy. It's just there's just so many good reasons that sports bring such good things that it excites me to see this and hopefully for my kids and because I do fear baseball just falling dead one day, like just not because of the way people digest things nowadays. People like I know people go, I don't watch the game. I put on I watch Twitter highlights. I go to YouTube and I watch 12-minute highlights of the whole game.
Fakers.
I'm like, well, where? Why? Like, where's what's the fun is the roller coaster ride known as a game. Like that's the part of it. Like it's like saying, listen, we're gonna just make a roller coaster ride flat.
I don't know if I would call that fun all the time, but
It's not fun, but dude, that's what you're addicted to. Just like they say, a gambling addict is addicted to the losses, if as much, if not more, as the wins. Right?
sure.
It's because of the highs and lows, the way you feel from it, the chemicals that get released in your brain, the excitement, and the ability, and the fact that anything can happen at any moment. That's like how anybody digests. Like, listen, I understand we're busy, you got kids, so you're like, listen, I know I'm doing a show tomorrow. I'm gonna go watch the 12-minute replay of the Sixers game because I didn't watch it.
Right.
I want
Yeah.
to know what happened. That's fine. I get that point. But if that's the only way you digest it, or you just go back and read, like that's it. I mean, come on, man. Like, what's the point?
Yeah, and I think this postseason is the absolute perfect example of just how the crowd can affect the outcome of a game because to the opposition coming into Citizens Bank Park, I mean, us going nuts in that crowd is affecting them
Yeah.
100%. And us going nuts for our home team, our beloved
Mhm.
players, that affects them and gets them jacked up and goes out there and performs well. This is the perfect example of just why it's so important to back your team regardless of failures or successes. Get out there and just be supportive
Yeah.
because it means a lot and they notice it. I mean, every single post presser that they have done, first and foremost, they come out and they talk about the fans and how electric the stadium was, and that means a lot to them. So when the seats are empty, maybe they do have a little bit of a for who for what type of mentality. Not to say that they do, but it's absolutely a possibility. So next season, we've talked about this in past episodes. Everybody get out to the game. Everybody just support your team
I
and
think next
have
season will be
fun,
so
man.
different. It will be
Oh,
so
it
different.
will. It has to be.
And you're absolutely right, Joe. You have to admit, like, there can't be. I couldn't, Joe. I couldn't imagine walking out to a plate and taking a swing in a Major League Baseball game, let alone a playoff game or anything like that. But having a team, 46,000 people screaming your name and cheering you on, and just yeah, there's not, there can't be anything like it, dude. Like when it comes to drugs, like that, going to be the ultimate drug or
Yeah.
something. Like, so yeah, like listen. I said this before, actually, with Mike. I think I said it on your show last Sunday. I'm like, this fan base has to take a lot of victory laps. You know, we always say like you didn't play the game. Well, no, but we made that game winnable. I mean, how many games could have been different if this team was we were fans like the Braves fans,
Right.
you know,
Or
all
the
we
Yankees fans.
or Yankees fans or anything like that. I mean, the fact that you know, Joe, you know that if you win this whole thing, that you're going to fill up Broad Street, up and
Yeah.
down,
Yeah.
all the way up to the stadiums with massive parking lots and spaces for people to the brim, shoulder to shoulder, because you won a baseball game. There can't, I mean, I can't imagine what that would be like, but I can't imagine anything would be better than that. You know, I'm just saying, like,
Braves in general are amazing.
um, speaking of a little funny side story, our boy Prophet has been kind of a viral sensation
Saw that.
as of recently. And do you know what? I will pull up the video while I tell you about it. He, in typical Prophet fashion, he's a knucklehead. These are knucklehead. And he was just. I went to his wedding on Friday. I was
Yeah.
actually watching that game on my phone at his wedding, to much the chagrin of his wife. But it was happening. I'll be honest. Um, and they went down to the game. They weren't at the game on Sunday, but they were down hanging out around the game. And of course, NBC Sports, all the news outlets, they were all there. And you know, she's on the camera holding her hand up. We just got married on Friday, and the Phillies win the World Series in her little voice,
Going to the World
or
Series.
going to the World Series. And he goes, and it's by far the best part of the weekend. Like he
Yeah.
just and then it made it all the way to Jimmy Fallon's
Yeah.
monologue, which was, you know, just it was funny. And nobody knew it to the point that it would get to how big it is, or how, you know, um whatever you want to call it. But They were actually interviewed here
Yeah,
today
it was really
by
funny.
CBS
I
or
saw that. Yeah.
CBS 3 and all that stuff. We won't hear the audio, but I will play it real quick here for you.
Well, some sports news. The World Series matchup is set with the Houston Astros taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. And of course, the fans from Philadelphia are super pumped. Check out this video.
Let's go! I'm feeling great! 4 more top bar! Come on, Mike! 4 more! World Series, baby!
We got married on Friday and the Phillies won!
It's the best part of the weekend by far!
Oh, by far.
By
Oh
far.
my God.
A lot of people have videos of the moment they got married, but very few have a video of the moment their marriage fell apart. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't
Yeah, that's profit in a nutshell.
My,
I mean,
my favorite part of the video is that he grabbed the mic to say
Yeah.
those words into it.
yeah, and then listen, like him or not, Jimmy Fallon's reaction was pretty
That was great,
spot
yeah.
on. Like most people don't have a video of them when they're
Yeah.
and she's so listen. If I've known them for a while, and she is so used to him, that probably didn't even phase her. But no, it was just pretty funny that he became a bit of a. And it's funny. I was telling him last night. I said, if you think about this, there's been like moments, things connected that weren't actually connected to the game itself. Like, listen, we'll never forget a guy ate horse shit
True.
when the Eagles won the Super Bowl.
True.
You'll just never
I
forget.
would like to.
Yeah, you would like to. Santa Claus, Snowball, all those
Can we
things.
stop talking about Santa Claus?
I'm just saying. Well, I bring it up, and I'll tell you
Over it.
why. Is things that we'll never forget. I said they may not know your name, but you'll be known as the guy that said that. Maybe for like 15 years, maybe that guy said you could say,
Right.
yeah, that was me. I said the Santa Claus thing because we were at the game on Saturday,
Mhm.
and they had a few celebrities in the crowd as they did.
It did. That was cool.
Miles Teller was, and what the one thing is, and we talked about this, is that all right? So Bundy, Chris
Mhm.
Tarian from the former Flyer, was there. He was just sitting in the crowd. He wasn't in the box. There's a lot of guys that are in boxes. Miles Teller was in the Diamond Club, I believe.
Yeah, he always sits down there.
And Jay Wright was in.
Jay Wright.
He was just in the
He
crowd,
was in the crowd. Yeah.
which is just cool. Like, how many
My
times?
wife went nuts when he was on the jumbotron.
But my point is, how many times have you seen they like the Lakers games are sitting courtside, or a Yankees game? You see like
You
Jerry.
saw Mickey sitting in the stands,
Yeah.
X amount of games ago.
But my
And
point
a
is,
bat landed at him.
how many times you see them pan to like where you see a star, like a famous person in that town,
Yeah.
sitting in the middle with just being one of the people. I mean,
Yeah, it was
it
awesome.
was pretty cool.
Jason Worth was there. He threw out the pitch the next day.
Yeah,
Of course,
absolutely.
Ryan Howard was there. He threw out the pitch that night. Yeah, really cool, man.
But
I love seeing all those guys there.
before we move on and talk a little Eagles, of course. So we talked about the storybook run, how this just the ebbs and flows of this season. But let's look at the matchup real quick, Joe. I mean,
Mhm.
Houston Astros versus the Phillies right now on paper. If you're just a person who's never heard of baseball before and looking at it on paper, of course it's going to lean towards the Astros. But if you break this down, like starting pitching wise, let's just start with game one. If it's Verlander versus Nola, I think we have the edge.
You know what I'm thinking now? There might be a chance that Wheeler's going game 2 in case it goes to a game 6 or 7.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But I'm sorry, repeat. I had that thought of
Yeah.
Wheeler and I didn't hear what you said.
My point is, matchup wise, from just pitching right now, just for game one, I think we have the upper hand. Even though, listen, I know
Wow.
when he's pitching a 1-something and he has like I think it was like 18-4 this win loss, which in my eyes in baseball is
Mhm.
here nor there. But he's also 0-7 in the World Series. Now,
Does he do?
does he do? Does he get the monkey off his back, or does he have a lot of pressure on him?
Oh, does that mean Kate Upton's going to be in Philadelphia?
Possibly.
All right.
Just like I gotta hit
Alright.
that. I'll hit her up. I'll see what she's up to. Hey, Kate, it's
No
Joe.
other comments. Just all
Yeah.
right.
I mean, in my eyes, I feel like the pressure's on him. He's at home.
There's no doubt about that.
He's at home.
Mhm.
It's nothing like Philly and Houston.
But I will say this: there's going to be a lot of Phillies fans out there representing us. It's going to be nothing like they've seen before with a traveling fan base.
True, absolutely. And I want to. There's one thing that's kind of will be a crossover to our Eagles conversation and our Phillies conversation, and people are getting an uproar for whatever reason over this. But here is your Philadelphia Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts in his Houston Astros outfit.
How long ago was that, though?
I think this is recent.
Oh, no. They interviewed him today, and they asked him, and he was totally saying how much he loves the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, he loves the city of Philadelphia, but where's he from, Joe?
He's from Houston, yeah.
So who cares?
Okay. You mean recent, like possibly
Yeah.
beginning of playoffs?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I thought you meant like in the past couple of days. I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
it.
My point is, who cares? And it's funny because Nick Sirianni, I want to play something for you. Hold on one
Sure.
second.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I watched the game. I can't say that I've, grown.
By the way, this is Nick Sirianni talking about the Phillies. I've read.
Yeah.
I
would think.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I watched the game. I can't say that I've, growing up the fan of the baseball team that I grew up liking. I'll keep that to who I like or to myself.
Good for you.
I can't say that I've watched a baseball game in a long time in the sense of, just sat there and watched a baseball game because that team that I like, that I liked, all right, they've had many successful postseason.
All right, we're going to listen to the rest of it. I love how he's like, I liked. Like, he really tries a little too hard sometimes to, like, I'm a Philly guy. And I get it. He's
Sure.
a Philly guy. But just like, Joe, if you went to Dallas to coach, I don't know, whatever, the Stars, you're a hockey coach out there. I mean, you're still gonna be a Philly fan. You can't be at work.
Sure.
You're not gonna be sitting there wearing your Phillies jersey out there or Eagles jersey or whatever, all that stuff.
But when somebody who is beloved here in Philadelphia says that they are a fan of another team outside of Philadelphia, it does irk me a little bit because I was listening to High Hopes to Jason and Travis Kelsey,
Yeah.
and they say on there, them being from Cleveland, they are Cleveland Browns fans. Even though those two play for different teams, they root and are fans of the Cleveland Browns because that's what they grew up on.
Mhm.
Me hearing that, especially the side of Jason Kelsey, I'm thinking, screw that. You should only be an Eagles fan.
Listen, I think when you play for a team and especially have the Jason Kelsey-esque type success that he has, you're just like, oh yeah, I was a Browns fan growing up.
Oh no, they say that they're still fans and they follow the team.
But Joe, if you played for the New York Giants, you telling me you're going to stop being an Eagles fan?
I would not play for the New York Giants. Faith over money, Al. Faith over money.
All right, this guy. I don't believe a word.
This guy is totally full of shit.
Yeah, full of shit. I'm saying you would. All right, Joe Sheeran is the quarterback for the New York Giants. You're going to stop being an Eagles fan? Right, are you going to stop being? Are you going to be a Mets fan or a Yankees fan or whatever fan you want to be?
That's a tough. That is tough. I've never even thought of that.
I mean, it's a hard thing to do. I mean,
because it's almost like, all right, Dallas got its first name. He was named Dallas because his dad is a big, or was, could still be, a big Dallas Cowboys fan. But now with his son on the Cowboys or Eagles, is he still a Cowboys fan? Like that's Bryce Harper plays. He says, "Go fly, Eagles fly, fly, Eagles fly." But he has been reported to be a Dallas Cowboy fan. Mm-hmm. So do I want to know that he's a Dallas Cowboy? No.
I'm not saying you
Allen Iverson, Dallas Cowboys fan. Do I want to know that Allen Iverson is, or has ever been a Dallas? No. Nick Sirianni saying that he won't name the name of the team.
Well, you know who
I actually don't know who it is.
Well, think about it.
I don't know where he's exactly from. So
Jamestown, New York.
Oh, okay. All right.
And they don't have a lot of success. So there's only two teams in baseball who have been.
Well, Mets and Yankees, they both have success.
He said they want the team they haven't had a lot of success over the years.
Okay, then all right, the Mets.
It's the Mets. Yeah, obviously it's the Mets. He grew up a Mets fan.
Now that I know that, do I wish that I did it? Yes. I don't need my players out there, players, coaches, whatever, telling me that they are a fan of another another sports organization when they are here covering, playing, or coaching Philadelphia sports.
I think your fandom, lightens up. Like you're not sitting there, like as long as you're not playing us, you're not root. Listen, if you're a Giants coach and your team is just 2-10 at this point, you probably don't care the Eagles are winning that as much. You don't, but you probably get a little upset that your team's winning because they're in your division.
Then should we say that Nick Sirianni was a Giants fan growing up?
I'm not saying he is, but he could have been.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, would I rather not know that he could possibly been a Giants fan growing up, but he's the head
Giants or Jets?
Yeah, I don't want to know that.
Joe likes ignorance is bliss.
Yes,
Dallas Goedert is
100% yes.
Dallas Goedert is a Dallas fan. I think that's actually wrong. I think Dallas's dad, and he actually did not like that. I think he
was a Packers fan.
In his interview, I think he said didn't like the name because
Right.
because that was the first thing everybody asked him when he came
Of
here.
course.
So let's finish with listening.
Yeah.
Attempts. So it's fun. I'm glad to say now I'm a Phillies fan, and yeah, it was
Join
that
the dark
Saturday night
side.
game was fun. That was fun. I mean, I didn't watch any college football that night. That's what I watched, the Phillies game. A lot of fun to watch. That's a fun team. I think, man, I just look at that team and I think about the way they connect with each other, and because you want to emulate good teams and you want to see what makes good teams, right? They connect with each other. They're always celebrating together. It's fun to watch. All those different things. They went through adversity throughout the year and came out better because of it. And my hats off to to their coaches and to their players for having dog mentality to go and control what you can control. So it's been a lot of fun watching it. I got home yesterday. My son was sleeping. One of my sons was sleeping. He was wearing his Harper jersey, and so I think that's really cool, and obviously really excited. We're busy this week, obviously, to get ready for our stuff, but Friday and Saturday we'll have a little time to watch it. Next week we won't have as much time to watch anything, just being on a short week. But I look forward to watching the games I can watch and continuing to root them on. Is any of that?
So yeah, I mean, I have to imagine as a coach of another team in that city, that is like I guess a good term, infectious. Like because you're sitting, oh man, this could be us. We could be in a Super Bowl. Oh my god! Like, could you imagine, like Joe, like me and you, we don't coach or we don't play for any of the professional teams, and we're out there, we're soaking it in, right? But could you imagine being Nick Sirianni in one of those boxes and just hearing seeing this town go nuts? You're like, we could be doing that, and we're 6-0, so we could definitely be doing this.
Oh
This
yeah.
could be us in a few months. We don't know.
Yeah, and I'll say this. I mean, we jokingly have said it on air. We've jokingly said it off air, at the game, just basically saying, thank God there was an Eagle bye this week. And we had game 5 right in there, right in the prime time where we would have been watching the
Sure,
Eagles
most likely.
because I did not watch a lick of football on Sunday. Not a single play, did not
Yeah, I
even
didn't
I
watch much at
barely
all.
even looked at my fantasy football scores.
Nope.
It was 100% all about the pinstripes that day. And like I want to thank the football gods, the baseball gods, the Philadelphia gods. Everything lined up so perfectly
Yes.
for us this weekend.
It still lines up because even the next Eagles game is on our off
I
day.
know.
I mean, it's a short week.
2 of them.
Yeah.
2 of them.
I mean, I said starting this Saturday.
Yeah.
From Saturday to Saturday, there is a Phillies game or an Eagles game with no overlap. So that's huge. I mean, I really want to take off a week for work. Like I talked to my boss, like, is there a way I could take off the next week? I can't handle this.
Well, it starts Friday, so wouldn't it be Friday to
Well, I guess take off next week, like Monday through Friday,
Yeah.
because unless they hopefully don't need it, they win. They win out. I mean, God, it would be amazing. But let's turn the page because we do have to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles because them coming off a bye week does make it a little,
sexy?
sexy. Yeah. And look at what their matchup is. Just not this week, but going forward, man. They don't have like a primetime quarterback for maybe until Aaron Rodgers, and he ain't playing like one anytime
Yeah.
soon. But they are playing the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are 2-5. For the first time at Lincoln Financial Field since Carson Wentz went 34-3 against them in his 2016 walloping. And it's funny, I didn't know this, but I was looking up my stats and taking my notes. So the Steelers have not won against Philly in Philly since I think it was 19. Here it is. I'm sorry, 1965.
Holy crap.
There's been 9 games.
I thought you were going to be like 1999.
Nope.
Which is still kind of mind-boggling.
There's been 9 games in Philly versus the Steelers. I'm
Holy
not talking about
crap.
overall. There's been 9 games, and they've won every one in Philly since 19. That's the last time the
Wow.
Steelers beat the Eagles in Philly was in 1965.
So they're due.
No, I don't think this is the week. I think that if I think Houston has a better chance of beating us next week because of the short week.
Sure.
I think this team is too rested and now, of course, the big news, we haven't even talked. The funny thing is the Eagles make a trade and we haven't even talked about it yet. I didn't even think that yet.
Pretty big trade.
Yeah. Now, how much does he play this week? Maybe gets a little time. I don't think a lot, but
Let's put
Robert
it this way. They probably don't need him this week.
probably don't. So they can maybe get him in there and get him allocated a little bit with the team. But
I will say this: it's going to be pretty heavily rotational.
Mhm.
So he's not going to get as many snaps as he was in Chicago. So it's going to keep him, fresher, healthier, upright. So I mean, he might play a little bit this week, knowing that he's not going to be out there for the lion's share of it all.
Ian puts a good point. Think about it. The Eagles could be 2-0 in a week.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
so a week from tomorrow they could be 2-0. But so I mean, I don't want to look past.
I mean,
the
that
Steelers.
happens a lot.
You know, but
when someone plays on Sunday, and
yeah, but
Thursday.
having the short week and just playing against a team as bad as Houston that plays definitely in our favor.
Yeah.
Having the Thursday night game against a team as bad as they are plays in our favor big time. Like they could have played Green Bay, they could have played anybody. They could have played one of their divisional
What
rivals.
week do we play the Giants? Like, are we still 5 weeks out from playing the Giants?
Yeah, here let's bring it up.
Because off the top of my head,
shit.
we have Steelers, Houston, Texans, Colts, Packers, and then the Giants? Or is there another layup in between the Packers and the Giants?
Well, I think they play Washington. Here we go. I got it right here. I think they play Washington like 3 times or 2 times in 3 weeks or something. All right, so it's Steelers.
Washington.
It's Steelers. I mean, not Washington, New York. Sorry. It's Steelers this week, of course. Houston. Then we play Washington.
I can't even follow that right now. Which way am I reading?
Start in the middle.
Okay.
Steelers are in the middle,
Okay.
and then right. So it's Houston, Washington,
Oh, I was way off.
Indy, Green Bay, Tennessee, New York, Chicago, and then
So we play. Oh my God, we don't play the Giants until the 14th and the 18th week.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yep. So
wow, and that 18th week, neither team may be playing anyone.
Yeah, I mean, think about. Somebody pointed this out today. If they play as
I
well,
think I'm going to Saints.
if they play as well as they have, and they I'm not trying to look ahead, but I'm just playing devil's advocate here. If they, maybe lose one game between now and here in week 16, that week 16, 17, 18 could mean absolutely nothing to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they played Dallas hard. It's a Christmas Eve game. That Saints game could mean nothing outside of just keeping them down in the top 5 pick or something. That might be.
That absolutely means something.
Yeah,
Al.
yeah. I mean, the Giants game could mean absolutely jack shit.
It's not going to mean anything.
Yeah, but
for either team, I mean, listen, the Giants are good.
well, let's look at
somehow.
This. You got this weekend. You got Pickett, who's a rookie quarterback who's got a long way ahead of him. You got Houston, who has what's his name?
David Mills.
Mills, who whatever him. You're gonna be playing. You're gonna be playing the Battle Hawk himself, Tyler Heineke.
The 5'9" Heineke.
I heard there was a petition going around that the Commanders fans are asking for Carson Wentz to never play a game again.
I saw that. Yeah.
In Washington.
Yeah.
And then the Colts, of course, are having what's that?
Sam Ellinger.
Ellinger.
Like that.
And then outside of that, I mean, you have Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, who's not playing Aaron Rodgers type football. I mean, things could change between now and week 12. Don't get me wrong.
Things could change, and we may not even see Aaron Rodgers.
I mean, God only knows. Tennessee. I mean, yeah, Tannehill really makes me shake in my boots. I mean,
can see us losing
that New York game.
They got. I will say this: Tennessee has a really good defense.
They do. Chicago. Don't even get me started on that.
The Robert Quinn revenge game.
Yeah, Robert Quinn, real revenge. He should be thanking them. Well, they said who was crying?
Roquan Smith. Roquan Swift.
Roquan Swift was crying because he got traded. I mean, kind of dumb.
Yeah, like they asked him, he tried to play cool, and he was like, it's really, really hard for him to go. And then he's just like, he starts tearing up, starts welling up. He's like, sorry, I'm gonna take a few moments here. And then I think he put his head in his shirt, covering his eyes because he was bawling like a little biatch. I mean, my God, man up. It's a business.
Matty B was crying. He must have been a big Roquan Smith fan. But I mean, like I said, the Steelers still have a decent defense.
They do.
Not put that. Minka Fitzpatrick has 3 interceptions of his own. But I mean, I'm looking at their wide receiver core. Let's look at this for a second. You got Claypool, Pickens, and Johnson, right?
Claypool could be gone. I've heard that he's up on the trade
I heard
block.
he was on the trade block, but they might be able to play him this weekend and then trade him. But
if he's on the block, do you want to risk playing him?
That's a good point. That's what I'm saying. But I mean, who are they gonna? Who's he gonna go up against? Slay,
Listen,
Bradbury.
George Pickens is really good. George Pickens is good.
I think
Dante Johnson hasn't done much. But George Pickens from Pickett looks to be a combination that they're starting to
I'm not saying
work
they
out.
can't be good, but Kenny Pickett still has a lot to learn, has a lot of time
No
to go.
doubt.
Their O
No doubt.
line is not good at all, and that's why Najee Harris has been really kind of a letdown so far this season. And so you're gonna, I mean, I think Jordan Davis is up there, and Fletcher Cox and Brandon
Yeah,
Graham and all
Najee
this.
Harris hasn't done a damn thing all season.
Yeah, I think they're eating all day, like, and they should.
Yeah.
They should. Maybe they come out a little light because I'm hoping they don't look past, but this team needs to keep like the Phillies have done. They need to keep that fire going. And that's my but I just can't see. Maybe they don't score as many points as they would normally in the beginning. Hopefully they get some second half points again.
Yeah.
Just get that. Let's get people to stop talking about that for a minute. But I mean, Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, I know Watt was reactivated or
Mhm.
it was activated today. I don't know how much he plays. We have
He'll be on a snap count probably.
yeah, but my point is like I don't want to be overconfident. I hate being
Well, here's
overconfident.
now it seems like you're kind of changing your tune because last week I was the one saying I could see their first loss being to the Steelers, and I was pointing out my reasons why.
Yeah.
And now I just think it's going to be a bloodbath. Like I've done a
I think they have
180
way too much
completely.
rest. They're just rested and they're got a
Well,
chance
not
to.
even that, but I look at our defense now with the added addition as a top tier elite defense,
Yeah.
top 1, 2, 3, no doubt in my mind.
Sure.
They're not going to let Kenny Rookie Pickett come in and start throwing them around.
Yeah,
There's
that's
not
why
a chance of it happening.
That's why
I
Pickens
don't know
doesn't
what
scare
I
me.
was thinking last week. I've come to my senses.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just, the clarity over such a great sports week that I
It's
actually
shoes. It's shoes. They were
Yeah.
waiting for a shoe to drop. You're like,
There you go.
at one point, this team's got to lose,
Right.
and they will. I'm sorry, they're not going to go undefeated. I mean, they could. They have the ability to do so. I just feel they will
won't.
lose a
They
game
won't. They'll lose to the Giants that last game.
because of because of something. But I'm saying, I think they lose. I think they lose 2-3 games
They,
at
they
least.
should.
Yeah.
They should.
And my point is, there is still something. My one big concern right now for this game, and I don't even care if he plays or not, but it's just been very quiet on that home front, and maybe because of all the Phillies noise. Lane Johnson,
Yeah.
like, what is his status?
He's still in
Concussion protocol. So, I mean, I know you don't have to rush him out, but and it's against.
He's a vet. He doesn't need to be out there for, the whatever practice, the walkthrough, the blah blah blah, this that. Like he is going to come in, and if he's ready to play, he's going to be game ready. Like there's no worry with Lane. If he can play, if he's healthy, if he clears the protocol, his ass is on that grass. There's no doubt.
Now we talked about Jalen Hurts wearing the Astros gear, but there was
Mhm.
another one that kind of flip flopped a little bit.
Doesn't bother me either because he's from Houston.
No,
So,
I mean that's what it makes sense. Like I said, just like if you were the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, I mean that you would be, and that's where I'm getting this one. Micah Parsons tweeted out he's a Phillies fan.
he's an
And
asshole.
He's an asshole, but he's still a Phillies fan.
I told him. I told Parsons our relationship was done when he got drafted by the Cowboys,
Well, is it a
and
little?
that stands true.
Is it a little bit feeling a little better since he tweeted out that he's excited
Absolutely
about the
not.
Phillies?
Could not
Yeah.
care less.
No.
Could not care less.
I wonder how that feels to his
I'm
his
sure I'll get
team.
a text or something later.
We talked about TJ Watt, like I mentioned, the Steelers. Have not won since 1965 against the Eagles in Philadelphia, and I don't think it starts on Sunday. Like I said, I don't like being this. I really don't. I really don't like
know.
it. It feels very uncomfortable. I like where I feel like each, like we were talking about the Jags game. All right, this Jags where the rain could make things a little different. They got a good run defense. I mean, there's a lot of different things that could make things different, and then they handled them.
Does it change how you feel sitting down Sunday, getting ready to watch a game? Would you rather sit down knowing that there's going to be a competitive game about to come up, or do you sit down and say this is not going to be anything other than the Eagles trouncing these guys? So am I going to put my full attention into it?
I'm gonna put I always put my full attention in games, even if I think they're gonna get slaughtered or they're gonna do the slaughtering. It's just that I'm looking ahead, and in my eyes is like, this team needs a challenge. And I'm not saying that no team's going to challenge us and we're going to just wallop everybody that comes past us, but like I said, if you look at the quarterbacks we're going up against over the next 5 games, it's top. They
I
don't
know,
go.
but
It's
it's not
all.
their fault.
I know it's not their fault, but they're all 20, like the low, like top or the top
This is
30
this is
quarterbacks.
the worst NFL season we have seen in a very long time.
Very, very drastic differences.
Yeah.
Which, once again,
Hell was that?
that was my mic. Sorry,
Oh,
I had to touch it. The thing that scares me is that how good they could be, because who in the NFC scares anybody right now? I mean, I know by record alone the Eagles are the best team, and probably on
in
paper,
the
from
NFC, nobody.
I mean, Tom Brady could get in the playoffs being 9-8
That's because the
because
South
the
sucks.
South's terrible, and I don't. They could win. They could lose tomorrow, or is it tomorrow they play? Yeah, they play Baltimore tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
They could lose tomorrow. I mean, and there's 2 teams right there. If I was to explain those 2 teams, underwhelming.
Let me
They're
just
2
say
teams who
this.
should have been a lot better than we
They
thought.
scored 3 points against Carolina last week.
Mhm.
They are going to lose to the Ravens tomorrow.
Yeah,
There's no doubt. I mean, this is not a good football team right now. I mean,
and
did
Tom,
you
and
see
Tommy,
Tom Brady flipping his shit on his offensive
I
line?
think he's going through like mentally a lot. Like even Tom Brady can't overcome shit.
Right.
But I hear Antonio Brown was trolling him now.
Good.
Yeah. It's just fun. I wonder if he was sending his pool pics to his wife. But it's.
That dong, da dong, dong, dong.
But I'm just saying, like, so all intents and purposes, I mean, Green Bay, like the guys that should scare you the most: Tom Brady in the NFC, Aaron Rodgers. I mean, what's the
Russell
next?
Wilson, you should put his name in it,
But
but
he's not in the NFC.
oh yeah, sorry.
Uh,
Yeah, you're right. Not
but
anymore.
I'm just trying to think. I mean, Seattle has that it factor a little bit right now. They're just doing well, but still don't scare me.
Gino's got his spotlight.
I
He's
know, but
making
it's
the
just
most
like
of it.
I'm not saying they should. Like, I don't
It's because he's got the 12th man out there, and the crowd is making a difference.
possibly. It is
If I
hard.
can say that about Philadelphia,
No,
maybe I can
you
show a little love out there.
You could. I mean, it's. I've heard that even when they're not good, it's hard to play out there because of how loud it gets. I
Yeah.
mean, it does get loud. But I'm just saying, like, I don't like being this overconfident. I feel uncomfortable.
Just don't think about
I'm trying not to.
it.
I'm trying not to. But Joe, what we do, we look up stats all day. We talk about sports all day. This is what we do.
Even with
So
the
I
hype of
have
the
to look at-
Phillies.
I have the schedule taped to my. I have my little like quick. What I call
Yeah.
my quick board at home. As all this Philly schedule, the Eagles schedule. I look at that. I look at the stats. I'm pulling up stats for articles. I can't help not to look at it and go. I'm looking at the Steelers game. I'm like, I feel nothing except for this. It should be a trouncing.
I said to my wife the other day, I said, the Eagles are 6-0 right now. And knowing the strength of the schedule coming up, the possibilities are endless right now.
Mhm.
And they're not in the forefront of everyone's mind right now. I mean, it's Phillies mania, Phillies fever out there. 6-0, only undefeated team in the league. And I'll be honest with you, the only reason I'm on Twitter looking up like Eagle stuff right now is because I know the trade deadline is
Yeah.
next Tuesday. And I did not expect the trade to come down right now. And now I'm on there going, all right, well, are they going to trade for a running back now? That's the only thing I'm looking up about the Eagles right now. The fact that they're 6-0 and they're not the talk of the city, the town, the state. It's mind-boggling right now.
Listen, after the
I mean,
Philly,
does that take the pressure off the team a little bit? Do you think?
sure, yeah, I can see that. Like, but also, do they? Is it like do they like being?
Do they feed off the pressure?
Yeah. Do they feed off the knowing that they're the big dogs in the yard?
Right. Yeah.
But I mean, here's the thing: is at the end of the World Series, they can still easily be 8-0.
Right. Oh yeah.
I mean, very much so. They can be 8-0.
So the Phillies will win the World Series. We'll give it 2 or 3 days for a parade. Give it another day or two to recover from said parade, and then we'll jump back into giving a shit about the Eagles, who will be at 9-0 at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
that's awesome.
put it this way:
How goddamn cool is
if
that?
the Phillies, like, I'm trying to think, if the Phillies win, say Wednesday or Wednesday.
No, let's say Tuesday.
My point is, the Phillies win Wednesday. When's the parade?
It's got to be Friday.
Do they do it on Saturday? If they win on Friday, say,
No,
because they have to come home, so they had an extra day, right? Yeah. So
well,
it'd be Monday, I guess.
Well, no, if it's yeah. Wait, no, if it's 5, it's at home, so they're not traveling anywhere.
No, I'm saying if they go 6.
If they go 6,
Mhm.
I pray to God it is not next Saturday.
Well, no, if they go 6, that's Friday. There's no way they're doing the parade on the next day. I would
Right.
say it have to be
No,
2, 3 days.
that's
So
what I'm saying.
I'm
I'm
looking.
hoping it's not
I'm
on that
guessing.
Saturday.
I'm guessing Monday. They're not going to do it Sunday,
No.
so it'll probably be Monday,
All right,
maybe
let's aim for
Tuesday,
Monday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Done.
What is this current? I'm just looking at the guys. By the way,
Sixers suck. That's what the current.
they're down what 5 or 6? What did I say that?
Down.
7.
Yeah.
The thing flashed off real quick before I get it. What about less than a minute left in the game? Right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not good. I mean, here's my thing is, and people ask me about the Sixers, like, what about that? What about that? Like, right now, like Joe, you were just like, I'm not worried about the Eagles right now. I'm definitely not
No.
worried about the Sixers just yet. And here's my thing is, it's early. Could be a fluky thing. I'm not worried about it. But a shoe had to drop, dude. A shoe had to drop.
The reason I'm
Like
not worried
somebody
about
had
the
to be
Sixers-
bad in this town. Like, and the Flyers,
I
like,
know,
no,
Flyers are getting up
they're
there.
4-2, and I'm sure they're going to come
They
back.
just made a move too, so they're still trying to improve. But the reason I'm not worried about the Sixers right now is because if you looked at last season and how the Boston Celtics started, they started out as straight ass, and then you saw how hot
point, Ian.
they how hot they got throughout the season into the postseason, and then ending where they did. So I'm not worried about it right now. I'll wait for after the Eagles season.
Well, here's the thing. Ian made up a good point. So if they did win over the weekend or Friday or Saturday,
Yeah.
it probably might not be until Wednesday because the midterm election is on Tuesday.
Oh, that's
He
true.
makes a good point. His prediction is 45-7 Birds with 10 plus sacks.
Wow.
I mean, he was right about the sack thing
He
last time.
was. He
Yeah,
was.
give you credit where credit's due, I have to say. Now he asked this Jimmy G. So, look, real quick, we'll end this show off soon. I know we're getting a little late here, but in the NFC, I said I know we're not playing these teams, but if you had to play a team either week 1 or week 2 in the playoffs, I mean, what's the next best NFC team that you don't want to see
Now with the
currently? I guess.
trade of Christian McCaffrey, I would say the Niners are up there. And here's the big thing with the Niners
It's so he doesn't get
is
hurt.
they didn't start off well because Trey Lance was a question mark. That's the route they wanted to go, and they didn't really know what style, what type of playbook they were going to run with him. They were still working things out to see what worked for him and then offense as a collective. They already know what they have with Jimmy G. They're going right back to the same, formula of last year where they did have, pretty good success. Now with the addition of Christian McCaffrey and what the hell's his name? The Kittle. Kittle, if he can stay healthy, and Debo Sam, like they have a pretty good squad around Jimmy G, and they have a pretty good defense. So I would say that
So a
they
healthy
are
San Fran.
they're up there in the NFC for
Okay.
sure.
How about the Rams? Do the Rams fall in the same category as Tampa Bay and the Ravens, like teams that should have been better who aren't?
I think they're in a Super Bowl slump.
You think? Do you think they come out of it, or this is it for the year for them?
The team is too damn good for them not to come out of it. And I will say this: the Rams are desperately looking for a trade partner for Cam Akers, and the Eagles have two seventh round picks. So that's the next trade I see coming down: a 7th round pick
Really?
for Cam Akers.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I wouldn't be against it.
No, hell no.
No.
Need a power back.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I probably welcome it more. I'd go pick them up.
Mhm.
After that, I mean the Vikings, we already handled them, but I guess record-wise,
Record-wise, up there. Yeah.
well, I mean, record-wise, then that means the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Giants are right behind us too.
True.
I mean, that's the other thing is the one thing is who would have thought the Eagles being 6-0, we wouldn't have enough distance, especially with that going down in week 1.
Yeah.
I mean, did the Cowboys
Play
impress?
5-2, and Giants are 6-1.
I mean, I know who they're playing, but did the Cowboys impress you at all this week with Dak back?
No, and what's funny is, first off, Marcus Spears. Did you see the little clip of Marcus Spears when Jesus Christ, when Quinn got traded to the Eagles?
Oh yeah.
They didn't know if his cameras froze or if he passed out or whatever, because he just like dropped down. And they were like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And he pops up and he was like, Howie Roseman did it again. And he's a Cowboys fan.
Yeah.
Howie Roseman did it again. My God, he's got to be the GM of the decade, of the century. And he was going on because his quote unquote, Dallas Cowboys just made a trade for Jonathan Hankins. And nobody knew that the Cowboys traded for anybody, let alone Jonathan Hankins. And who the hell cares that Dallas traded for Jonathan Hackins,
Yeah.
and like, it's just mind-boggling.
And
So
actually,
no, Dallas does not scare me one bit.
Ian brings up another good point. So I know we don't talk about the Union a lot, but
Yes.
they could be on the same day as the Phillies trying to win a championship.
Yeah.
Do they do 2 parades?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. I know their
But
coach
here's the
won the coach of
problem.
the year,
But
by the
here's
way.
the problem is there's I don't know how like soccer. I know people I know who love soccer.
Sure.
I know people who I know who hate soccer.
Sure.
You have fair weather fans like me because I did watch the end of that playoff game the other day.
Mhm.
More or less because we do this, and if I want to be
Wanna
in
check
the
it out.
know of it,
Yeah.
but because they're a Philadelphia team, I wanted to watch another playoff game on a high. Plus, I was having some beer, so of course I jump into it. But I don't know how much of a real welcoming committee there would be for a championship union parade. Like, is it small enough that you just do it through the streets of
Well,
Chester?
I mean,
Like, do you have it down Broad? Do you just have it
you
down a
definitely
strip
do the streets of
of Patterson?
Chester.
Like,
Yeah.
where do you do it? Like, you're not going to go from Talon Energy
Well, what
State
happened when
Subaru
the
State.
Soul
I don't
won?
even know what the hell it's called at this point. You're not doing a.
Is it Subaru or Talon?
I think it's Subaru now.
Okay.
But you're not doing a parade from there to the penitentiary or Harris. Like, you're not going to be doing it from Xfinity Live to City Hall. Like, where the hell is there an appropriate
McDade
spot
Boulevard.
for a Philadelphia Union parade?
McDade Boulevard. They
Yeah,
shut it down.
yes, there you go. All the way, there we go. There it is. Subaru Stadium to Dolan's Bar.
Now, my question is, where did the Soul? What do they do? They just do it in the parking lot, right? When they won,
I don't know, to be honest with you.
I'm trying to remember. I think the Soul did something. Did
I
they
don't
do a
know.
parade for the Soul?
Did they really?
Was it on Broad Street, Mike? 10 people on Broad
Jesus
Street.
Christ.
I mean, listen, I think you're gonna.
That's what I mean. Like, I don't want, like, I feel bad for the players at that point.
But here's the thing: is like, remember when the Flyers won the Stanley Cup?
They should just have a party at Xfinity Live. Like, just do that.
Well, I remember looking like this. We weren't around for it, but when the Flyers won the Stanley Cup, and you watch videos for a city
Wait,
who
we weren't around?
in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
We weren't around.
Yeah. You're saying that like that's news to anybody.
Well, people don't know how old we are, so there you go.
Yeah.
But my point is, you see video of it, and then people climbing on poles then in a city who really didn't know what hockey was. So it wouldn't surprise me if we didn't have the Phillies in the World Series, of course, and the Union won. I can see it. Not a huge one. Okay, it's not a million people or anything, but I can see it. It'd probably be bigger. Excuse me. It'd probably be bigger than the Chiefs Super Bowl parade.
You know who would throw it?
Who?
Philly Sports Strips.
They would.
They would do something
Well,
with either
they
a
work with the
parade
they
or a
work.
party.
They're
There's no
officially
doubt.
work with the Sons
I
of
know.
Ben. Yeah, you're.
No, they're the official travel partner of the Philadelphia Union. Like,
Yeah.
they are in. They're business partners at this point.
I guess it'll be a question to watch the attacking third, which is on Thursday nights, guys. Because they would know better than this. But there could be a chance. And the funny thing is, I think somebody pointed out to me that when the Flyers won their first Stanley Cup, the Wings won their first championship for lacrosse,
Wow.
which nobody ever knew because
I didn't even know the Wings were around back then.
yeah.
Wow.
It was like their first championship.
Inaugural?
Yeah. So, and they won they won the championship the same night, right? Yeah, it was the same
Wow.
exact night.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Wings were gone and came back.
Well, how many times did they go and come back?
Yeah, league
the
was folded.
league. Oh, okay.
Well, think about the Soul. That league has folded and come back before.
Well, the Wings have
Look at-
folded, but the league has stayed.
Look at the USFL. They folded for 30 plus years.
I know.
And they came back. So anything's possible. But no, I mean, listen. Once again, we talk about a parade. I don't want to put the cart before the horse.
We're talking about the Union. We're not mentioning the other P team.
Yeah, but listen, man, it is fun to be. It is amazing to be a Philly sports fan, and it's interesting to be like Joe. When we first started doing this, of course, the Eagles had their run and they won the Super Bowl, but we were still just getting started. Now, how far we've come in that time, and now having another championship run, it's busy but fun. Like, I'm exhausted. I'll be honest with you. All the work we've been doing, all the tireless conversations with the group, with the going back and forth, just to make sure everybody's on the same page. But it's fun, but it is tiring. But it's cool as shit. Like, this is what we do it for. Like, that's my thing. Is these moments, man, will live forever. And the ability that we can sit there and say, "Hey, listen, we talked about this from soup to nuts, from the beginning to the end. Matty B did his fighting final for every game from
That's impressive.
from the entire season plus the postseason. I mean, if they go the full 7-game distance, I think we figured out it's like 179 or 180 games on the nose or whatever it works out to be. But it's impressive, and it's awesome for what we do.
Yeah.
So real quick, guys, I want to remind you, if you're trying to I can't get tickets, I got my rejection email, which I just got one of mine.
I just checked. I still haven't gotten it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. Swear to God.
I'm sure I'll get it
I know one place you can go, Dolan's Bar, 24 East Sellers Avenue. And not only will you watch the great, amazing World Series baseball game, but you also watch with amazing greats from 1993, guys who will live in infamy. And somebody asked me the other day, Joe, how I don't understand the love for the '93 team. Then you just don't understand.
Well, yeah.
Listen, if they won would have been different, but the whole thing would be it's the team, the attitude of that team, just connected with the fan base, just like this one is. I mean, even if these guys, God forbid, didn't win the World Series, 10 years from now, we would talk about them as how awesome this team was. But Friday, game 1, Tommy Green. Saturday, game 2, Lenny Dykstra. And if game 6 is a thing, Friday, Mickey Morandini will be in the house at Dolan's, 24 East Sellers Avenue. And you guys will be able to hang out with Phillies greats and watch a great Phillies game. Don't forget PhillySportsTrips.com and check them out. Keep checking that website. They keep updating things. Trips to go out to Houston and watch the World Series. They might have to put more if the games go to 6 or 7. So keep your eye on it. If you want to go to one of these great away games for the Eagles, they're there. The tailgates are an option as well. They have other games. They also have spring training if you want to keep your Phillies fever going. They have Union games. They have Flyers games to Tennessee. They have it all. They have it for you. PhillySportsTrips.com. And don't forget David R. Cherry. Get hurt at work, get hurt in a car accident, personal injury, criminal law. CherryInjuryLaw.com is a place to be. And it's 610-565-0300. David R. Cherry is the man, and tell him EOP sent you. And speaking of EOP, here is our lineup for the rest of the week. Philly Press Box Radio was on earlier. Of course, we are right now, and should probably starting just about now because we're running a little late. The Sixers Raptors post game show run by the Painted Lines is going on probably as we speak. But check it out because they're going to break it all down for you because maybe you missed a little bit of it because you're hanging out with us. Tomorrow night will be another fun pack, and it will be going into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday into next week. Look out for the new schedule. Anything else you guys want to add in, Joe?
No, not really. I mean, I think we've said all we have to say. I mean,
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
This is going to be this week is going to be one for the books, man.
I was celebrating so
One for
much
the
I was
ages.
getting dizzy. I don't know if I'm just out of shape. And I was just
My wife jokingly said, I think it was jokingly said the other day, this upcoming week is going to make or break us. And I was like, I don't know if I should laugh at that or not.
Yeah.
I just looked, I was like, stop it. We'll be fine.
We'll be fine. I'll leave the paddles by the
Yeah.
door. All right, guys. I'm Big Al.
I'm Joey Sheeran.
And Mike's over here learning. We'll talk to you later.
Bye, Mike.
Oh, wrong one. I forgot I switched.